Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, not alongside Johnny V. Johnny, what's going on tonight?
Well, it's an awkward night, to put it mildly. You're not here with me. I know. You're not here next to me.
Right there, you're already at a low point. There's a certain expectation and a disappointment. So right off the bat, it sounds like you're not starting off on the right track. Go on.
Yeah, true. Basically, what happened this weekend, as most of you probably saw on the YouTube post and the Facebook post, was that my basement had some issues with water, and so now what we did is we've got some guys coming in tomorrow to take care of the basement, to help it out, just to make sure that the dampness is out, so there's no mold growing and anything like that, and it's gonna be easier. But so all the normal studio equipment is gone. We're actually on our first ever backup system. Everything is being streamed from the cloud. So our calls are going to the cloud. We've got Blaine from GK Pro coming in on the cloud. It's going to be great. It's going to be great, Terry.
Yeah, you're coming in. It's maybe it's fine. We'll have to double check. But once you go to the handheld, which is fine, you came in really hot. Hot as in loud. So
hot as in loud. Okay, because it was a little closer. So I've
only got one good ear. So if I can hear you and you're too loud, then you're definitely too loud for the rest of the world. All right.
I just pulled it down a little bit. So.
A little bit of kind of a crazy week. You going through the fresh, the unintended water park that was taking place in your basement, and going through some renovations, getting things all cleaned up and hopefully fixed, remodeled, refurnished, all that, whatever we need to do. And then I am at my home on the other side of town. I'm about 30 minutes away. I also have been trying to kind of piece together what will be ultimately a studio of my own. And so everybody's doing their own thing. And tonight we're going to be keeping in our theme that we've had for the last few weeks now, in that we're going to be checking in with another disc golf media crew. We have seen GK Pro come onto the scene in the last few years and then very quickly step up their game and be formidable video producers that we're seeing out there that very much took on the role of editing together FPO footage this year, covering and editing FPO footage, at least on the Pro Tour side of things. And then I know they're always in the mix for other event coverage that has been, well, when it's available, they're certainly ready to go. And so we'll have to see how they're doing. And we're going to check in, like I said, with Blaine as well. So like you mentioned, Johnny, a little bit of a unique night in that we're both in two different locations. And not only that, but you're also displaced from the regular studio setting. So hopefully everything is good. And we'll see if everyone, I'm going to check in on the board quickly. Tonight might be a relatively quick show. As many of you saw, not going on Tuesday night to push back to tonight was all part of the overall chaos that's this week. So I guess it's better to have this kind of a off week, so to speak, when we're not mid-season and in the middle of broadcasting, in the middle of the rest of the typical coverage chaos. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise.
This is actually a really good, unfortunate have-to test for doing something like this for the Pro Tour. I know I talked about it a few weeks ago. I was really excited to have this cloud feature, but I really didn't want the clouds that were above us to have to force me to use the cloud here. So it's gotcha, Tara. So that's
pretty clever. All right. So tonight, again, we're going to catch up in just a few moments. We're going to bring Blaine in and talk with him. And then we'll go over a few of the other things. There's been some announcements in the last few days with regard to what we're seeing on the PDGA scale in terms of the large-scale events, the national tour, the series and such. And then also what we're seeing and hearing from the Disc Golf Pro Tour side of things. The Disc Golf Pro Tour virtual putting is concluding this weekend. New podcast started tonight, the Nick and Matt Show, which I was just honored to be one of their first guests on. Unfortunately, I'm not as good looking as either of those guys. So, but they just kicked off their very first podcast a couple hours ago. Both myself and Simon were on there and had a really good time with them. And I'm looking forward to watching them grow and thrive in the work that Matt's going to be doing along with Nick, of course. So, all right, I think without further ado, we should get over to what's your phrasing for him as the human Steadicam.
The human
Steadicam.
So for those of you that don't, yeah, he's so smooth. For those of you that don't know, he does hold the live cam for the FPO during our live coverage. And at first I thought, oh my God, this guy's got a Steadicam. But Terry's like, no, he's just he glides. And so I just kept calling him the human Steadicam.
Well, we're going to bring him in from our Disc Baron Digital Green Room. Thank you, Disc Baron, for the most recent contribution. And coming in now, we've got Blaine Williams of GK Pro. Blaine, the human Steadicam. How you doing, buddy?
Hey guys, how are you? Pretty good.
Of all nicknames, let's start there. Do you have any nicknames that may or may not have been prior to your disc golf filming career?
No nicknames, no, just Blaine.
Oh.
I like
How do you feel?
There could be worse nicknames for sure. And human Steadicam is a great nickname for someone who's a camera op. I mean, you can't ask for anything better than that.
No, definitely. It's definitely a compliment nickname.
Well, you've been absolutely just killing it out there, you and the crew. So let's get into it, because I feel like maybe 2 years ago is where I kind of ran into you guys, and I want to say it was might have been the Ledgestone. I don't recall. I know that all the events are blending together, but you guys started out local in Oklahoma and then took your skills elsewhere. Give us the beginnings though. How did things get started for you guys?
So we started just at a local tournament in Tulsa, the King of McClure. Heather Wagle was running it, and I just asked her if we could come out there and film on our cell phones and see what we could do with the coverage. And a month later, we ended up getting it out, and then just went on from there. Did a couple of others on our cell phones, and then quickly upgraded, and then did more local events. Moved on to Texas, and then kind of got our foot in the door with Disc Golf Pro Tour and Steve. Kind of doing Ledgestone and Idlewild that year. Idlewild was pretty cool. Having Zach Arlinghouse on that card. It was pretty cool to watch a little 16-year-old crush it with the big boys. But yeah, then the next year we got the deal with the National Tour and the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and then a couple of others, the MAO and I forget, there's so many now. But yeah, it's
So let's go back even further before the video aspect, which I want to get into more. But prior to the video aspect, is it you and 2 or 4 or 10 buddies that just golfed, or were you guys film guys that then just stumbled upon disc golf? Kind of give us your origin from the game and how you guys all got together.
So we'd all been playing disc golf for about a year. And then we all met at this Hunter Mini in Tulsa, and then we played the Mini about a year before we started GK Pro, and we still play together, obviously.
Wow, so you guys are relatively fresh to the game, and then was it kind of that moment of like, oh, this is how we can get closer to pros, or this is how we can travel, or like what was kind of the driving force behind, hey, let's grab our cell phone cameras and let's go film some golf? Like, what was the driving motivation there?
We definitely wanted to be a part of disc golf and just and watch it grow and be a part of it growing. We didn't really see ourselves being professionals and touring on that side, so having another outlet and seeing that Jomez and Central Coast were doing it too, so we kind of just followed in their footsteps, and that's the rest of history.
Yeah, how much so is it fair to say you were a big fan of their coverage, and did you guys frequently consume everything they had been putting out until you guys
just like everyone
took
else,
it upon yourselves?
Whenever they came, as soon as they came out with stuff, we were watching it.
What do you feel like there was any specific thing that really influenced either the style that you guys have, or do you feel like you're putting all of your own spin on it? Like, what are some of the takeaways or the things you picked up?
I definitely think we're modeling most of our stuff after Jomez, but trying to put our own spin and our own logo, and just different, trying to make ourselves different, but just modeling it after Jomez.
Yeah, and that's kind of tough. I think that's true of so many people. Of course, Jomez puts out this unbelievable product that everybody really enjoys. But then at the end of the day, I mean, there's so many of us that are covering disc golf, shot-by-shot coverage. Like, it's kind of paint by numbers. Like, there's stuff you have to film, and then you put it in order. And of course, there's plenty of, obviously, we all have our own style and influence.
The uniqueness comes in the style, between the graphics and the commentary and the things you show in between holes, the slow-mo stuff. Like, we all know that the standard shot-by-shot is pretty cut and dry, but it's all that extra flourishes, really.
Yeah,
right.
So what I guess I'll follow that up with you, Blaine, is when I've seen you guys at every event, you're rolling like 20, maybe 30, maybe 40 deep. Like, well, you have, like, you dwarf every other crew. Like, the other 10 disc golf crews don't have as many people combined as what I feel like you guys are rolling with. Like, what kind of staff do you have there? What's going on?
We have our core 4 of us, me, Gabe, Bob, and Chris. But we always have our support guys, Ryan and Isaac, and then we also have Rachel on camera sometimes. But yeah, we at the most 7, but always 4.
I feel like you guys could have filled at least 2 Brady Bunch cubes with how many people I've seen you. Which is awesome. Now, clearly, just none of us, 0 of us, got into disc golf media because we thought, oh yeah, that's where all the fame, the glory, and the money is. So right. What is kind of what's been your build up? You mentioned you started with cameras, with phones. Like, walk us through some of that build up to, like, when you knew you were ready to take the next step, equipment or otherwise.
Well, we're all working full-time jobs during our 2 years or 3 years building up to this year. So while working these full-time jobs, all the money that we're making off YouTube and tournaments and whatever, all that's going right back into GK Pro. We're buying cameras, buying drones, upgrading stuff, trading in, getting new computers, getting better hard drives, more SD cards, and more SD cards. And yeah, so we slowly upgraded, and then we got to the point where, all right, we have all the stuff. So can we take this full time? Can we travel? Can we feed everyone? So we kind of said, yeah. So we quit all our jobs and took it on the road, and now here we are.
How'd that work out for you?
Geez. Come on.
We're just hanging out at the lake house right now.
Yeah, well,
the ultimate 2020 facepalm, right? Like, you guys, obviously Gatekeeper. We talked to Chris and Derek a couple of weeks ago, and it's like it's a little surreal that we have all these people that are ready to make this big leap into full-time disc golf, and then, like, you leaped right into the I was gonna say the shallow end of the pool right as they drained it. Like, it just was the worst possible timing, right?
Right. Exactly my thoughts.
I mean, the good thing is it appears like there is an appetite for disc golf coverage, regardless of what's going on right now. We see a light at the end of the tunnel. Hopefully it's not a train, but we're seeing that light, and it appears that we have enough golf for all of our crews to cover. So I think that's a really good sign for the future of the media in general.
It's been pretty interesting, kind of find our own ways to film disc golf. Like first we went down we stayed in Texas and filmed some stuff with Greg at the beginning of all this. And then we kind of hunkered down at Grand Lake for a little bit. And then we had a couple guys in Iowa, Wonder Disc Golf. They asked us to come out and film 4 of their guys that they wanted to showcase. And we're like, yeah, we might as well just go and film what we can film. And so we have Ron Converse and Scott Stokely coming up on June 6th. They have a little challenge, a little grudge match they got going on. And we just got through with a thing down. We went down to Texas yesterday and filmed a round with Brodie. So that was kind of cool.
Awesome. Brodie's like a couple miles from me right now.
Oh, yeah.
What was that like for you guys?
Pretty surreal watching him grow up. I grew up watching him a little bit, and it's like a celebrity almost, just playing with playing with Brody Smith, and he's the real deal. He's been practicing.
Yeah, he certainly has. I know, they're Brodie, Hannah, and Paul all are here in Wisconsin. They all came in today, and they're, I know, heading over to Ben Askren's house. And I'm pointing because it's literally just a few miles down the road from me where they're going to be at. And I know they're going to be shooting some videos, doing some stuff in Ben's backyard where he has a course. And so it's been great watching his progression. And I guess that kind of leads me to my next question. If you said you've been, watching him all these years, but when you guys came onto the scene, were you guys nervous around players? Was it crazy that you had such close access to them and you interacted? Was there any of that, or was it all like pretty much straightforward business as usual?
Definitely the first like 3 or 4 holes after you meet a new pro that you've never met before, you've only watched on YouTube. Those first 4 holes are kind of like, all right, how do I act around this guy? What do I do? Where do I stand? How far away should I be? But after that, they seem to kind of gravitate towards you and talk to you a little bit more, and they kind of get to know the cameraman just a little bit. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I've said it for many years, especially when I used to have to do live commentary right there with the players, and that is, now that's been taken to a booth, in either another state or wherever. But there's certainly a bond, not only a bond that naturally I think will form because you're going through hot rounds, you're going through cold rounds, you're going through, all these weather conditions and hours out on the course with them. But also there's a degree of trust that, they're going to be doing something and you're going to hopefully be on your toes to know where you should or shouldn't be. Do you feel some of that trust has built up and continues to strengthen with some players?
Oh, for sure. I can definitely see how me being around certain players has kind of strengthened my trust in them and me. I can definitely see that. Now,
I'll readily admit that I think one of the biggest challenges in doing next day post-production coverage is having consistent commentary, and whether that's from players or internally on your own team or whatever the case might be. What do you guys do most frequently, and what do you think is the best method moving forward for your approach on having commentary? How have you guys tackled it, and what do you see in the future?
So we try to get 2 touring pros that have either played the course or are playing the course right then. If we're not able to have commentary by the guys playing the course, then we try to get remote commentary if it's like a next week type thing. But then if options available, then we always have Bob and Gabe, and they were our commentators at the beginning, and they're always a good backbone to have whenever you're looking for somebody to commentate.
Do you guys feel like, or maybe even notice, and it's really tough because there's different courses and tournaments and such, but do you notice, is there a big swing or difference when you have, we'll say, top level pros commentate versus maybe doing it in-house? Do you feel like the views or the comments or anything like that, is there a huge disparity there or no?
I wouldn't say the views, maybe the comments a little bit.
Okay.
They like to roast us just a tad.
Of course. Okay. Yeah, and that's tough because I mean I think literally almost every single team has gone through that at some point of what's easiest. Is it just getting commentary done alone, or is it like you said, getting remote commentary, or is there somebody at the tournament that can or can't do it, and then what kind of timelines are you guys working with? I think that I think people underestimate how big of a challenge that really is.
Right. But we also found that no commentary is also a good thing. Some people like the sound
explain.
of the rain. They like the sound of the rain. They like the sound of the chains. They like the banter back and forth with the players. There's always conversations going on.
I agree. And go ahead.
We had a Oscari on the card, one of these rounds that we filmed. I think it was at Memorial, and he always had something to say, and just always talking trash to Emerson and Nico. So it was really cool to have that on the mic.
Yeah, and now we got to go with the basic questions of for some of the tech specs and geeks out there. What are you guys shooting on in terms of what are you capturing the footage on, and then what are you guys editing in? And if you want to give us your computer, sure, but what are you guys editing in, and what are you guys capturing your footage on these days?
So we have on the throw cam, we have an XD 150 by Sony, and then we have what is the other two?
X53 and the camera's A600.
An A600 and an AX53, both by Sony.
Okay.
And then we have
Yeah,
a
both by
MacBook
Sony.
Pro and then a Mac Pro. And then
and then
Google expensive hard drives.
Adobe. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, like the lacy drives or something.
Right.
And then do you guys edit in Adobe Premiere and the Adobe Suite, or do you guys use Final Cut or something else?
Final Cut.
Okay.
Ooh, I think that's our first Final Cut that we've had. So do you do all the graphics then in Motion instead of After Effects?
So I'm not really the guy to be talking about this.
That's fine. That's fine.
But I think we did just get Motion.
Okay. Cool.
So that's a perfect segue, though. Talk a little bit about like what the workflow is like. Obviously, you guys are out on the course. You talked about cameramen and camera women, but what's kind of like generically the workflow for you guys in terms of what people's roles are, and then what are you guys focusing on? Maybe as soon as you're done capturing the footage, how do things kind of unfold over the next 4 or 6 or 14 hours?
So I talk to the people first. I get the emails. I get what we're gonna make in all of the logistics, and then I'm also the throw cam. So A cam, the guy behind the T pad, and then we have Bobby. He is reaction cam and then editor as well. And then Chris is editor and photographer and just the manager of the whole thing. And then we have Gabe, that's B cam, the catch cam on the other side, and he also edits. So we have 3 editors, three cameramen, and then a photographer for us 4. And then we have our support guys that will run the merch table, and run batteries back and forth, or SD cards, or just whatever we need, food, water. But then, so starting out the day, we get to the tournament. The day before the tournament, we play around. We drone the first course or the second course, however many courses there is. We try to drone as many as we can. Then the second day, the day of the tournament, we kind of just chill and edit the drone footage and kind of wait around and get hydrated. And then first round normally starts around 2. We do first round. We get back to the hotel or the trailer or where we're staying and edit first round. We stay up till about 2 editing, and then get right to bed. And first thing in the morning, we have the commentators come in and commentate. That takes about 2 hours. And then after they're done commentating, we try to upload on the hotel's internet or whatever internet we can use.
Yep.
Whatever internet.
Common problem. Yep.
Yep, go on. Right.
And then just rinse and repeat the next day, and then do that 3 or 4 times.
Now, speaking of, when you talk about a support crew, I always think back to, like, sometimes you are going out for round 2 to film, and you literally are leaving your computer maybe at the hotel or the Airbnb or wherever, and you hit upload and you're kind of walking away from it. Now, when you have a few extra hands, and you're keeping your fingers crossed, by the way, but if you have a few extra hands, somebody can maybe monitor and make sure that it is for sure uploading and some of those types of things, maybe work on the descriptions and the thumbnails and things like that after, even when some of you are out playing. Is that a fair division of labor? Do you guys kind of do that?
Definitely. We if there's something to be done, we'll definitely pawn it off to someone else.
Or delegate. That's the word. That's the fancy word. No, and that's great. And I know there's been, like I said, there's times where you leave something and you're like, oh, please just upload, and then you hate knowing, like, you get back after a day of filming and round 1 you left uploading, and then you get back and it's like, oh, failed at 97%. And you're just like, oh, and yeah. Too many of those scenarios.
I don't think we've ever had one of those.
Okay, well then knock on some wood, because that's great that you haven't.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's been, I don't want to relive too many bad memories, but have you had that, smack yourself upside the head, or that moment, or that hardware failure, or leaving the hard drive at the course? Have you guys done anything really, really maybe stupid or rookie?
I know there's definitely been times where the computers just shut off mid-edit, and nothing you can do about that. But as far as leaving stuff, I'm known for leaving our mounts. So our monopods and our shoulder mounts, I just leave those at the hotel. I don't even remember. That's me always.
So, like, a pretty necessary tool you rely on every day, and you leave that back at the hotel?
Definitely. There's been times where we just carry cameras.
Now,
I've
to be
seen
fair,
Terry have to do that. Don't worry.
Yeah, I was going to say, to be fair, of all things, like, that's an accessory at that point. That's not absolutely, life and death crucial. Like, you go to a course and you don't have a battery, you're not filming. But if you don't have a monopod, well, your day just might be a little more stressful.
Right. And I'm always trying to charge the batteries, like, first thing in the morning.
Yes. Yeah, being on top of those batteries. And so you mentioned SD cards. What do you got? 3 cameras. So give us a ballpark. How many SD cards do you have?
I think we have around 12 or 13, just
Perfect.
64 gigs and a couple of 128.
Okay. Yeah. No, that sounds about right. And it's like you can never have enough of them, no matter what. They're always, useful. So
that's always the big debate that Terry's wondering about, is whether or not he should just keep the SD card for the whole weekend and just keep swapping them out, just in case he doesn't want. He's always worried he's going to delete something or overwrite something, or if you have to reuse those SD cards in a weekend. So that's a tough one. It's always good to have extra.
Right.
Yeah, in a perfect world, I think that's the way I want to get to that regular protocol of I have 4 or 5 or whatever SD cards for every camera, so that you record round 1, you copy it obviously when you're done, but then you literally just set it aside so that you're not even deleting that, and you're just using a different SD card throughout the weekend until all your footage is released and up. So what's the next big purchase or accessory or thing that's kind of on the radar that you guys are all like, oh yeah, we can't wait to get this? What is that?
We need 2 more XD 150s, and I think we'll be set.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, that's all, right? And those run what, about 25, 2,800 each?
Yeah, about 2,500, $3,000.
Okay. So when you guys came into the scene, there was a very different landscape than, I'll say back when Central Coast started, or even when I started as well. And now, it's kind of almost expected that tournaments will have coverage, and that hopefully there's even a camera crew there to film it, and that crew is probably even getting paid. Like, those things we kind of assume now, where it didn't used to be that way. What did you guys think about, kind of getting your feet wet and working yourselves into the system? Do you feel like it was difficult? Was it harder than you thought it was going to be, or easier? Or what were some of your, your stories as you kind of got worked into the whole, big event system?
I think it was pretty much a snowball. Like we our first couple of tournaments we just did just to get the footage and just to have something to put out. And then as we got our name out there a little bit more, they slowly paid us $100 here or there, paid for our hotel, or just whatever was cool at the time. And then our quality upped, and we had the need for more cameras or better cameras, so we upped our bill just a little bit. So it just kind of snowballed, I think. And having the Disc Golf Pro Tour as a backbone to kind of rely on, and having them is nice.
Yeah, and we've all talked about that consistency, and the Disc Golf Pro Tour has done so many things, not just for obviously number one for the players, but it's created this outlet and the media teams themselves, along with the Disc Golf Pro Tour's own media. Like, it's all there. Steve Dodge, God bless him, had such a great vision that really put all these things in motion, and all of us can I think continued to build each other up because of what he stuck his neck out on the line for. And I don't think we could ever thank him enough for everything that he envisioned and kind of set in motion. Do you guys have is there an optimum number? Is there, and I guess I mean that in two ways. Is there an optimum number of events you want to cover? And is there an optimum number of crew members? Do you see yourself expanding that much more, or, what's your optimum numbers in both of those situations?
I think our crew numbers are pretty spot on what we need. We've got our new stuff, our new computers. They've kind of streamlined the workflow a little bit. So having our crew group of guys is still pretty good. As far as events, I think 25 to 30 is a good number, just something to do every other weekend. Yeah,
and I mean, burnout, everybody talks about how much the golfers are playing, but obviously these are very intense weekends that can sometimes be anywhere from 3 to 5 days, depending on, what you're doing to put into it. They're very long days. They're stressful. They might be fun and enjoyable, and hopefully you can find a smile to put on your face for most of the day, but it's a grind, isn't it?
It's definitely a grind, but having a whole team of guys to delegate the work, and kind of everyone has their own thing that they're doing, and it's kind of a streamlined thing now. It's pretty nice. I think we've got it going pretty good.
Do you feel like you guys have all just continue to bond and grow as a group? I would think that would be assumed, but do you strengthen your friendship every weekend, or some weekends you're like, hey, are we off next weekend? Because I'd be okay if we were off for the weekend.
If we were off, we'd still be together.
Okay. Well, that answers it perfectly. It absolutely does. So right now, the plan that we're going to see is, everyone's still planning on Portland as kind of the tentative restart date. And I know there's going to be some challenges there, and there's conversation, but Portland's kind of the tentative restart date. And then we're going to hopefully see things kind of pick back up after that. Is it safe to say you guys are just going to hit the ground running? You're ready to go at that point, or do you have anything else in the works or up your sleeve?
Oh, definitely. We'll be at Portland for sure. If it's going on, we'll be there. But as far as other things in the works, we actually have 2 tournaments coming up this weekend and next weekend in Greenbrier, Arkansas. Persimmons Ridge. I think Luke Humphreys is running a tournament there, and he's asked us to come out for both weekends. So that's kind of cool.
Wow.
That is cool.
We're going to have Kevin Jones, Conrad. We got Nathan Queen and a couple of others, I think, will be coming out.
Okay, that's awesome. And it's funny, I was just on the podcast with Simon, and he said something about a tournament in Arkansas, and Luke Humphreys and all of those names got thrown out, but yeah, he didn't know a lot of the details. And so I'm glad now we do. Is that sanctioned or not?
Yep, sanctioned, B tier.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, and right now it almost doesn't matter, right? I mean, I know you guys did you go out and get any coverage and put it out for all to see and enjoy. So I think we kind of gave them, well, we didn't give them a hard time, but just a funny coincidence that we see a gatekeeper and a GK both come into the scene with what I feel like was a matter of months. How and where did you guys come up with your name?
Definitely just a coincidence. GK is actually Chris's full name, George Chris. So he came up with the YouTube channel, and then we kind of just turned it into GK Pro from there.
Okay. That makes perfect sense. I'll be the first to admit, I know very early on when you guys were both evolving and coming onto the scene, I very much interchanged and was like somehow thinking you were the same. And then I was like, nope, very different graphics packages, definitely 2 different crews, just happen to have the same initials.
Pretty much, yeah. We definitely got that. We still get that. Our Ace video got shared got shared to Gatekeeper and our Garrett.
Yep.
Yeah, we definitely still get that.
Well, the good news is those guys are awesome. And so, I mean, being associated or affiliated in any way, I mean, everybody wants their own identity, but at least they're a really good set of guys over there. Or do you not like them?
No, they're cool.
We very much like them as well. I know we've joked about it. Like sometimes Bobby Brown has said, he's like, oh yeah, I get called the disc golf guy, and some of these interchangeable names. And it's like, hey, you're watching disc golf footage. That's what matters at the end of the day. So it's kind of a big question, but is there a big picture for the channel and for the brand? Is there like a overarching, mastermind plan that everybody should, be aware of or be scared of or be enthused about? Is there anything on a really grand level that you guys have specifically targeted?
I wouldn't say so. Just kind of pay everyone's bills is the main goal at the moment.
Okay. I mean, just keep growing, keep building, keep putting out good content, which all sounds like a very solid plan to me. Is there, let's just say the rest of the tour finishes out with what we hope is a pretty, we'll say, relatively normal finisher of the year or remainder of the year. Is there any area or event that you guys are particularly looking forward to? Is there anything that jumps out at you that you're excited to go see or experience or cover again?
I'm really hoping Worlds gets going. I hope it happens in September.
Yeah.
A winter Worlds, Utah in September.
Yeah, I think at Smugs we could like see our breath on a few of those mornings when they were out early, and having that in September was the latest we've ever had it. And I guess Utah, if that's the same location and the time, it could get pretty chilly out there, I suppose.
For sure, it's definitely gonna be skiing season.
And then
It'll give everyone something to do.
yeah, exactly. And then in terms of you guys touring and traveling, do I see you guys usually in multiple vehicles? And did I see you kind of you created at least one mobile van, but one kind of mobile home on the road this year? Or what's the plan there?
Yeah, so I have a van, a ProMaster that I've built out to kind of be my actual house. I live in that thing full time. And then the guys, they have a truck and a travel trailer, 27-foot bunkhouse. So we kind of just have our mobile setup and got the solar panels on the van. We can charge anything, and yeah.
Wow,
That sounds like a pretty great setup.
I feel like I should take back my question, or really give you a hard time if you say you leave a brace or something back at the hotel. Don't you have everything right there? And you have everything should be with you at the course all the time.
Oh yeah, I definitely have everything, but only one person can sleep in that.
Okay. You guys have jumped on, as everyone should, and actively engage and participate in Patreon. Tell everybody kind of about your levels and where they can find it or how they should look it up.
So we have our Patreon, Patreon/GK Pro. We have 3 levels, I believe, one for $3, one for $11, and one for $20, and each of them get progressively better things. I think we give away a sticker or something on the mid level, and the first level you get a thank you, and yeah.
Okay. So patreon.com/GK Pro is how they can find you?
Correct.
Okay, awesome. And then what about Instagram, Twitter, Facebook? What are some of the other ways? And I think as you answer that, what's the best way to reach out to you guys on any given platform? Is there one that you guys find yourself more active on or that you engage with a little bit more?
We're probably more active on Facebook, but our Facebook is GK Pro. Our Instagram is GK_productions918. And we have our Twitter, I think, GK Pro, and always email us at gkprodisc@gmail.com.
Okay. And then one of the final questions would be, if events are looking to have you guys come cover it, just reaching out and then kind of looking at your schedule, is that kind of how the ball gets rolling? Some of the things you guys start talking about, and then you guys negotiate a price and all of that. Is that kind of, I guess, walk us through if an event's looking for coverage, what are kind of the normal steps for you guys?
Exactly. Just reach out to us on our email at gkprodisc@gmail.com, and we'll kind of talk about the pricing and what we can do for commercials and just all of those logistics. But email will definitely be the way to go.
Okay. Do you have any like ongoing supporters and sponsors that we can recognize and you can shout out? Is there anyone that's like consistently with you,
No.
Okay. Well, so you're looking, or maybe you're not. I mean, and I say that because I guess my question to you would be, do you feel like maybe it's good that you don't have any specific brands because that might limit opportunities? Have you guys kind of had to cross that bridge at all? Because I know I went through that at one point, but do you worry about those types of things?
I think definitely how we are, we can work with everybody. Or we don't really have a prerogative.
Yeah. If you don't have an obligation to any one brand, or manufacturer. I feel like just that, it makes you a little bit more versatile in terms of being able to work with just about anyone in any tournament. So I can appreciate that.
Exactly.
Am I missing anything here, Johnny?
Not that I can think of. We covered the questions that we pretty much covered with most of the media crews. Biggest mistakes, next, their next investment, all that other good stuff. We got the Patreon plug in. I don't think we're really missing anything.
I mean, I just make up stuff. So, Blaine, I guess then, as we're about to let you go, I'll ask. Yeah. Is there anything you either that we missed that you want to plug, that any other announcements or news or anything we didn't touch on?
Be on the lookout for our Brody video on Monday. We got 2 tournaments coming up. Those will be next week. Those will be coming out. Subscribe to GK Pro. Like and subscribe to all our videos. That's all I got.
Perfect.
Ring that bell, smash that subscribe, all that stuff.
Yeah, do all of those things that the 11-year-old daughter of mine says. Yeah, smash, like, subscribe, all that other stuff. All right, man. Well, we appreciate you joining us. We're right there in the mix. I'd like to think that so many of our media crews kind of all know how the other one is feeling right now, especially, when you guys like Gatekeeper, really just took that big leap of faith into the full-time disc golf world, and it just, the timing obviously, not working in our favor, but we love seeing you guys out there. We love being out there working alongside you, the stuff, the contributions that you continue to make, and all the hard work and the effort and the dedication that you put in. Like, just know that we're right there, and can appreciate every minute of what you guys are doing as well, because I think we're doing the same and trying to do the same. And I think we all have it, with all in it for the right reasons. And so we appreciate the heck out of everything you guys are doing.
Oh, thank you.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate it. We'll, of course, continue to encourage everyone to go check out the action over at GK Pro. Like you said, find them on YouTube, most importantly. That's where all the best of the best content is going to be. But then make sure you like and follow along on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, all those other places. I love seeing the photos that you guys put out often after events. Having that extra staff member or crew member to be able to put those out have been great. And just keep killing it out there, guys. We really appreciate it.
Hey, we appreciate you. Thanks.
All right, man. Have a good night. See ya.
Human Steadicam.
There it is. Blaine Williams of GK Pro. Yeah, and one last time, as Johnny, as you've always said, I don't know what he's doing out there, but he's so smooth. And I watch him tilt up the monopod, and I watch him it's like he literally glides along the grass, almost like he's hovering. So smooth.
Most of our
meanwhile, I just roll around.
I know, and I don't want to insult the rest of the cameramen who we go with all the time, because normally, one of the big complaints we had early in Smashbox was the Blair Witch cam. If you're old now and you know that reference, walking through the woods, because we didn't have a lot of assets to cut to, we didn't have a booth to cut to, so we had cameramen walking. We've gotten away from a lot of that, but he is the one guy who I just feel comfortable. It's like, no, just leave it on Blaine. He'll get us from point A to point B. He'll do it really smoothly, and no one knows the difference, and no one's been complaining about it. It is such a great asset to have, especially on the FPO card or the second card or wherever he happens to be. It's phenomenal. I absolutely love it. I barely know the guy, but he's close. He's right up there with my favorite cameraman of all time.
Now, he's always done a great job. I can echo, because I've seen him when I'm out on the course, and like I said, watching him just glide along so effortlessly, he makes things a lot easier, knowing that you're always going to have a good steady shot when you need to cut to him. So it's been pretty cool to see. So yeah, as we mentioned, follow them, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff, and then be on the lookout for their latest videos. So it sounds like they've been keeping relatively busy, busier than maybe even some of the other crews. So that's awesome to see that they have some fresh content that's coming out for sure. I'm checking out the board, watching as people are in there. I see also Gatekeeper's pretty active out on our board tonight, so super good to see. I'm not sure if that's Derek or Chris, but good to see you guys out there following along. And as Jar Garcia said, as Terry or Johnny ever said, smash the like button. No, there's I'll admit,
it's so cliche at this point where it's a joke. Like, I feel like
almost, yes. Yeah, and what I was going to say is I've been consuming really a lot of YouTube channels lately that aren't disc golf, and they could be video tutorials on this or whatever they are, lots of different things. And listening to so many YouTubers with so much of the same exact terminology as in smash the like button. Yeah, I think if I were to try and encourage or use some of that phrasing, I would really challenge myself to come up with something a little bit more unique. And another one, because I do occasionally watch a lot of editing. I watch a lot of editing, and a very common one that's now really started to annoy me is when people talk about slow-mo, and they always use buttery smooth, and I get that it's a cliche that can be used outside of filming, but buttery smooth, and the other phrase that I see a lot on my YouTube videos as I'm watching other content makers, whatever, is bangers. When people refer to really good photos, or usually it's photos, it's banger. And then you see like 10 YouTubers all use that exact same word. It just feels so unoriginal. But
it just takes one person to set that standard, especially someone who maybe has a bigger channel that everybody else follows, sure, that then just it cascades.
For sure. And I personally, I mean, it's not a secret. I've watched a lot in the past of Peter McKinnon, who's I'd say a relatively well-known or successful YouTuber in terms of the styles and the tutorials and the reviews that he does. I think he's one of the most talented humans on the planet, and he's always the most enthusiastic to say, smash that like button. And whether he helps set that tone or not, I have no idea, but it is very common among, I think it's one thing to see someone use that terminology and you're in DIYs. You make shelves for your house and you're a DIY channel and you use that terminology. And then somebody else in a totally different field uses similar terminology. But then if you watch 5 videos on editing and all 5 of those content creators use the exact same phrasing, all right, get off my lawn.
It's the same.
Get off my lawn.
No, it's the same way I feel about all the YouTube transitions when people like slap the camera and then it spins around, or they push their hand in front and then they come back in something else. To me, I look at that and I go, be original. Like, come up with something different that not 50 other people are
Simon
doing.
Lizotte. 50, more like 5,000 others.
Yeah, well, 50 that I watched maybe in particular. And Simon doesn't do it that often, but I did notice one of his most recent ones, he did it quite a bit. So,
and I'm not claiming I'm original here, people, so you don't need to jump on me. I'm not saying I'm original either. But if I were in some of those spaces, I would do everything I could to not do exactly what everyone else did. But whatever.
So anyway, get off our lawn. We're old men. Let's talk about some. Let's really talk about some news that we have between the PDGA, the DGPT. There's got to be some more initials I'm missing. But
ABC, BBD, the East Coast Family.
No, definitely not BBD. Oh wow, no. So we saw that. I think since last Tuesday when we were on, the PDGA has officially canceled the national tour. I don't believe that had been announced as officially. Some of the events are still going to go on. We're still going to see Music City. They're just not going to be an NT, and they're also going to pull the NT from Delaware as well. So that is more or less an end to this year's national tour. Now the Pro Tour is still going on. We still don't know about Worlds. PDGA released an announcement basically saying that they are going to go until June 1st before they make a decision on Worlds in September.
Yeah, and which is crazy because that's what 10 or 11 days away from now, and when they made the announcement, it was maybe 14 days away. So, so I guess the main let's start with the Worlds. I feel like one of the main takeaways for the Worlds scheduling or rescheduling or consideration is whether or not we're going to see or have some form of an international travel ban. And obviously the main conversation piece is we can't have a World Championships if it doesn't have an international field.
I understand that to a point. I disagree with it personally, but I understand the reasoning behind it. I don't like it. Maybe what I'm looking for is maybe instead of calling it the World Championships, maybe call it the American Championships or something goofy. Change the name this year, because I don't know if Utah's getting it next year. Then if it's just everything's going to push a year, maybe Utah doesn't even know what's going to happen next year. But in general, I disagree with the concept of canceling the whole event because 20% of our field can't make it. 15%.
Oh yeah, 20 I think is a large. I think that's an overstatement.
I'm thinking that it just feels unfair to all of the American pros. Whereas I think if you had it, I don't necessarily think it would be unfair to the Europeans, as opposed to canceling it to everybody, which is then just nobody gets it. And I get it. It takes a long time to put on a Worlds, like to plan it, to make sure everything's going to go. I feel like June 1st is just a little bit early to be making that decision. I would personally like to see it July 1st, another month, because I'll say right now, if it's June 1st and they're going to make a decision, you can basically just count Worlds out. I honestly I feel there's about a 2% chance that Worlds happens at this point if June 1st is the official date where they need to make the decision by.
Yeah, and, well, a couple of things. One, I don't think we should rename it to anything. I mean, we can have a big, large-scale event, but I'll say we can have a big, large-scale event and call it whatever you want, but don't. I mean, it's not going to carry the same weight as the World Championships.
Make it a major,
okay, yep.
and call it something. Because I know there's been some talk about having we have a U.S. championship, but maybe call it like a Players Championship or an American Championship or the North American Championship. Anything, still make it a major. Just maybe don't call it the World Championship or something. But I think that all depends on what happens with Utah. If they can host it next year, awesome. Do it. Maybe just push everything back. But if not, why not just still run a huge, awesome event?
Well, I think there's two problems with that. One, I think one being the major problem is who hosts it and who pays for it. If it's not Utah. I'm saying
this year.
Yeah.
Oh, if it's this year, I think it's Utah or probably nothing. I'm sure we could probably figure out a way to get it in, we'll say, a Charlotte or somewhere on the East Coast in September. The problem is there's a ton of work. Maybe the IDGC could throw something together. I don't know for sure. But the problem is all the fundraising, all the money that has to go in, all the prep, the sponsors, all that stuff.
The people.
The people, the volunteers.
Yeah, I mean, and
you can't just throw this together probably in 3 months, which I understand, but no, I think it has to be Utah or it's going to be nothing. And I personally don't like nothing. I really hope that Utah can do it, because it would really suck that if Utah is ready, but the PDGA says no because of the travel ban. I feel really bad for Utah, because next year they might not be ready. And granted, they might not be ready this year. I don't know all the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, no, I know that they want to host it this year, And I think they've more or less said, like, if we're not hosting it this year, then no one else should host the Worlds. We would definitely want to host it in 2021. And at that point, I think, the guys over at DD and in Emporia have already said, hey, if it goes to 2021, we can push back a year. We're cool with that. I think that would all be kosher and that would be fine. I can understand all of that perspective, but it still always goes back to, should we not have the World Championships because of the travel ban or the traveling in the first place? It's funny because we put so much emphasis on the phrasing and the terminology here in the first place. For starters, it's called the World Championships, that almost anyone with, that sends in the right money to the right places can enter, right, in the first place. Mm-hmm. Second of all, let me ask this question. Who are the football world champions this year? The Chiefs, right? How many of those, seriously, or I don't know, the World Series world champions for all of those international teams we have?
There's a Canadian team.
I know, but
and the argument is always the World Championships, they bring in players from throughout the world, not necessarily teams, but players throughout the world come to the biggest league, and I understand that. I'm with you on this, Terry. I'm with you. I don't think you should cancel the event if the event is able to go on just because you can't bring in certain people. And especially when you look at it from the MPO side, there's not really an overseas contender. Like, no offense to Vino or Yuha or any of the people that might come over. They didn't take, I think 20th was the best someone from overseas took last year in the MPO field. Anyone can have a great week, but ultimately the MPO aren't contending yet. It's the FPO that we're looking at, where 3 of the top 5 players in our sport are from Europe. And that is where it's going to hurt the most. But, and again, it just doesn't feel right to me that if an event can go on, that you cancel it because a small portion can't go or can't make it. And I understand the PDGA's predicament. I truly do. It just feels wrong to me for some reason.
I totally, in this case, I agree. It's very unfortunate. But here's the thing. They'll be able to play next year. Like, there's going to be another Worlds next year and the year after and the year after. So not having one, it's not like we're taking away someone's world title by them not being able to participate, because you're guaranteed nothing. We all know that. So it happening and they can't attend, I don't know if there's very few people that are more in favor of women's disc golf and the coverage and everything that goes along with women's disc golf than me. Like, I get it. I just feel like we are potentially overseeing or bypassing a World Championships this year for the sake of a handful of people and denying the hundreds of others that are otherwise looking to participate and contend with. And I think I said it almost the exact same thing last week. And I'm not a USA or first and everyone else, can get lost. I'm not like a hardcore, anything about being patriotic in this sense. I just feel like to not have it, if it's allowable, to not have it based on a few people. And I'd go back and say this, 5 years ago, 8 years ago. Well, that too. Like, what if they have no intention to? What if they just didn't want to, even if it was available? Or I would say, we wouldn't have maybe done this 5 years ago. So now, because we have 3 really talented women that are contenders in Evelina, Kristen Tatar, along with Henna. So because they now exist, we're going to have, again, we're not taking anything away from them. Is it suck they don't have the opportunity? Sure. But I don't feel like we're taking a title away from them. That would be different. But that's my rant. I love the PDGA, and whatever decisions happen. It comes down to, what will the U.S. be able to withstand? Because if the U.S. can't have it, well, then the whole conversation stops. And if Utah can have it, okay. Those are good starting points. If those can't happen, well, then clearly it doesn't matter what the international contingency is. But let's say everything's quote unquote normal or back to what we consider the what's going to be moving forward, and then a few people can't come. I don't know. Again, that's all assuming Utah is on board, which it feels like they are. So I'm not part of those decisions. I'm not on the majors committee. I don't know. What do I know? But now,
Not a lot.
on the
We know
flip
that.
side of that, we kind of beat this to death last week, I feel like. But on the flip side of that, we did say if they do push it into September, it's going to make for some really challenging timing.
It's tentatively
If-
scheduled,
if-
what, the 22nd through the 27th or something? I don't remember.
Yeah, something like that. It's sometime in late September. So I understand the huge drawback to saying, okay, hey, we're going to be on the East Coast. We're going to see an event at Maple Hill. We're going to see an event at Smugs. And then we're going to travel all the way out to Utah to then turn around and then kind of make our way back to the East Coast for possibly, a Jonesboro rescheduling, for possibly the Pro Tour finale, and then also the USDGC. I understand those logistics also don't seem very inviting. But I think if you ask the top 50 players in MPO and FPO and said, would you guys be willing to travel so that you can have a Worlds? I don't know that many of them would say, no, let's just skip that. Like
I know, again, the tour is relatively new, but that's the way it used to be. I mean, I hate to be that old man, but Worlds was where Worlds was, and there wasn't really a tour. So you might be playing in on the West Coast 1 week, and then 2 weeks later it was on the East. Worlds was on the East Coast. That's just the way it went. And did it suck? Yeah. Am I glad we're past that point? Of course. I think having an organized tour is the best way. But yes, the players will show up if it's there, no matter where it is.
Yeah, so we'll see.
We're gonna host it at Ben Askren's backyard.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, and I only mention that because I see Hannah McBeth on the board. Hannah, who flew into Milwaukee today, because her and Paul and Brody are going to be filming some stuff with Ben Askren. I know you have had some talks with Brody about touching some bases with him. There was a challenge thrown down. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have any updates on that?
No, not yet. We've been Twitter feuding or not. No, there was a conversation.
They're going to lose that feud.
I think it was back in January when the whole conversation came up about Brody just getting into disc golf. And I think I threw out the idea of, hey, I'd love to challenge him or play against him or something of that nature. And then out of nowhere, he rehashed that idea sometime last week, I think, and said, hey, when's this challenge happening? And I said, yeah, we should find a neutral place to play.
Clearly, he had to wait until he got better. I mean, he was scared of it.
Yeah, well, so we had to I suggested a neutral place, so nobody could claim home course or home field advantage. And that's kind of where it was left at. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I get a call yesterday saying, Paul is saying that those guys are all coming to Wisconsin to do some other stuff down the road. And so Brody and we're still having a conversation. Now, to be fair, Brody in one night during a live stream making 1,000 putts has made more putts in one night than I have probably in the last 5 years combined. Like, I don't play disc golf much. So I said, hey, I threw 100 shots Saturday night. I'm ready to go. Like, I'm ready to play. So who knows? Hopefully we'll make something happen, and we'll see where it all goes. But maybe there will be a filming of me and Brody or whomever in the next few days. And we could play in Milwaukee. We could play at Ben's, possibly at Ben's place. I'm not sure where the stage will be set, but I have to get my let's get freaky and let's goes. I got to get them all. Like, I'm going to smash the like button, and then I'm going to let's get freaky and let's go, or get freaky, or I'll keep slinging them discs. Whatever he says, I'll go with all those.
Terry, I'm gonna send you. Apparently, someone named Hannah McBeth had said that Brodie wanted to get on and talk. So I don't know if I don't know if you're in contact with him, but I sent you a message on how he can join if he's serious. If he's serious, that's how he can join.
If he's all right. Well, we'll see if.
The other thing we want to talk about is the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And that is, we got an update today from Jeff Spring talking about the future of the future, as in this year, of the tour. And
is this all public?
Yes, this is the public stuff.
I asked on the board. Okay, just making sure.
Well, and I said there are some things that are not public yet that we are privy to, and I'm sorry I can't share them with you. It's a little tease. But they're tomorrow. Secrets. Tomorrow they're going to make an announcement as far as some scheduling, and they might be talking. I don't know if they're going to bring up the secrets, but let's just say there's going to be some really cool developments with the Pro Tour. But what they did talk about is the West Coast swing it's kind of iffy at this point. They're still trying to, iron out all the details. We're hoping Portland happens, but Jeff had said how he kind of considers Portland. I don't know. I don't know if it was Portland Beaver State or Portland SFO and Goat Hill, kind of a group that if one of them can't happen, that whole side might be wiped out, but we don't know yet. So I know there's still some talks about that. Jeff had a live stream on the Pro Tours, Disc Golf Pro Tours webpage on YouTube. You can go check that out. He hit some question and answers, but ultimately we're all excited to be able to provide the Pro Tour. We're still a go, honestly, and I'm really excited to see.
Hello.
Oh, geez. We got Terry on the phone now.
Yeah, what's up?
I like it when my co-host decides to take a call
on our podcast here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it sounds like we might be getting a Hannah, Paul, or Brodie, or maybe all three. I don't know.
Wow. You guys.
Did I miss anything with the Pro Tour? I could mute Terry at this point. Let's see here. I'm going to look at the board, which I haven't had a chance to look at too much. You see me bend over once in a while and lean forward and type.
Yeah, let's let's get something figured out. Okay.
Yeah, this is awkward, Daniel Willis. My co-host is taking a phone call. Do you want to join us on the show? What's that?
I said, do you want to join us on the show?
I can tell right now he's talking to Paul McBeth. I heard him talking. I'm going to mute Terry because it's hard to think. So, Terry, when you're ready, go ahead and wave to me or something. Oh, he's off the phone now. I guess I'll unmute him. All right, Terry. Thanks for taking a phone call in the middle of our podcast. I appreciate that.
I apologize. I thought he was, so that was Brodie, and I thought he was just trying to maybe figure out how to join us on the show, or either that or he just wanted to try and talk some trash about when we're going to play. So we'll have to get it figured out here. We'll see if they're going to join us. Okay, sorry.
All right. Well, they have the information. So all we're saying is that the Pro Tour is going to happen. We're really excited. They've got some big developments. Tomorrow they're releasing some sort of press release to talk about, I think, some registration times for some events and just a general schedule. So that should be pretty cool. Is that a Smashbox first that Terry took a call during the podcast? Probably not. We're at almost 300 episodes. I'm sure at one point Terry has taken a call during the podcast and maybe at least stepped out, but instead he just decided to go live with it.
I apologize. I honestly thought he was like, I assumed it was Brodie, but I thought he was maybe just trying to get a few details to then join us because Hannah had chimed in. So that's the only reason why I took it. And I ignored it the first time. And then when he called back, I figured this was a pressing issue here, as they all know that we're live on the show. So I think he's purposely trying to disrupt the show. Yeah, he's just trying to disrupt us.
He's pulling an Eric Oakley is what he's doing. Oakley does that with Answer Man all the time.
Can't phase me. Or maybe you can.
Yeah, I don't know. Certainly did. Certainly did.
Anyway, so I see Alan is out on the board, and I'm thinking about the West Coast swing. I'm thinking about events, and one of the other components to everything you've been talking about, Johnny, I assume, is we're seeing more and more states open up for sanctioned tournaments. And like the list was literally just like Iceland and somewhere else a few weeks or a few days ago. And now every day it feels like 1 or 2 or 3 states are getting added to the list of being able to have sanctioned tournaments. So I feel like we're on that upswing. Obviously, I think places like New York, which doesn't have a lot of sanctioned events anyway, but a place like New York is going to be very, very slow or last maybe to be added to the list. But I guess I wonder what we're going to see happen before we're at the next big tournament, the next big Pro Tour event. And even in talking to someone like Simon tonight, he said the Minnesota Majestic, a little shout out for them, in a couple weeks, that was an A tier that was on the schedule. It's scheduled for June 6th and 7th in Minnesota. Minnesota, I believe, is open and ready to go. We may see a star-studded cast out at the Minnesota Majestic.
We have some guests in our Disc Baron digital green room.
Oh, geez.
We have a first-time guest in our. We have a first-time guest in our Disc Baron digital green room, coming to us from I think around Heartland, Wisconsin, somewhere over in that general area. We have, oh geez, this is just a crew.
Terry, you look stressed out, man.
I'm not.
Why do you look so stressed?
We have Brody Smith and Ben Askren joining the podcast.
Oh, why is your sound so low?
Hold on.
Do we have a mic? Do we have a microphone?
Hold on.
That's all right.
Or is it the app?
Oh, shit.
Oh, boy.
Well, the good thing is tonight, I don't think there's going to be an after show. I think we're going to do one big show. And so this is going to be just one giant fun party that's going to be released as a podcast probably tomorrow at some point. All right, boys.
All right, so
it's so quiet.
I'll give you this. I'll give you this, Brody. You have me stressed out a little bit, and for that reason, I've been stress eating for like the last 20-some years. So it's been building.
Hannah turned your guys' podcast on, and like in 5 seconds, you're already making excuses, saying that you haven't been putting or something. So I don't know. I don't know. That's all I know is the number of days. I know the exact number of days I've been playing disc golf. So I feel like you shouldn't be too stressed.
All right.
Which is still less than the number of months we've been playing. So
that's probably accurate. Are we doing this at Funky's course or what?
Sure. Let's do it.
Tomorrow, 4 o'clock.
Done.
Done.
Wow.
I'll be there.
Throwing down.
I will be there tomorrow, 4 o'clock.
Wear high socks. There's a couple a
few thorn bushes.
Okay, so clarify for everyone, Ben.
If I know him, he's not going to throw that far, and he won't be in them.
How many holes? Okay, I have
How many holes
23
do you have?
holes. One is unfinished. One does not have a tee box, and one has a tent basket. So we're close. You know, we probably play 21 or 22 of them.
But I mean, you have 22 individual baskets, or do you play from different tees?
No, individual baskets.
Individual.
Okay.
Holes,
Yeah, individual holes.
It's probably
right.
McBeth approved as well.
Well, I don't know about that.
No, you helped with the course design. You know, you made a few suggestions last time, and I cut a few more trees down with my chainsaw and whatnot. We even got, we're probably one of the 4 courses in the country with the car on it. So we have that.
Well, northern Wisconsin.
Sandy Point.
Have you played Sandy Point?
That's where I
Ben?
stole the idea from. Yes.
Okay, yeah. I'll be up there next weekend, and they famously have a car hole out there as well.
There's someone on the board that's asking us to live stream it, and we had talked about pay-per-view for this, but Ben got scared because his last pay-per-view didn't go so hot.
Oh,
yeah, right. I made so much money.
First time viewer or first time guest, you're just getting roasted.
Wow. Yeah, that's I would not have gone there.
I think
would
that
not have.
needs to be the undercard. Yeah, the co-main. That needs to be the co-main.
I didn't know you were going to
That needs to be the co-main.
Ben
All
will
right,
probably
so
beat me on the course and definitely beat me off the course.
you think. So Ben, just as a little bit of framing, you and we played together at a tournament I ran at Zobel.
What tournament this was? I don't remember.
Was that was Zobel? Yeah, you came and played the tournament I ran.
Oh, that's the only tournament I ever played pro in.
Yeah, was that 2012 or 2014? Does that one of those ring a bell?
2012, because that was the last tournament I got to play in before my life got too busy, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Zobel Open. And so now that your career has taken a turn, or you're doing other things, focusing on other things, are we going to see you on the course playing tournaments?
Well, you know, my idea is I built this disc golf course, so I actually have time to play a whole bunch. I'm hoping my kids take to it so I can get some tournaments. Yeah, I think I'll probably hopefully get to play in a couple tournaments every year moving forward.
Do you play anywhere around the Milwaukee area that's not your house?
No, just my house. That's it.
How many acres do you have out there?
We have 11.
Okay. So it's got to be kind of tight if you've got 22 holes.
Well, it's pretty, you know, a few of them are tight, but listen, I'm the only one playing, so, you know, we can be a little tight.
No, I'm just saying, like, 11 acres.
Yeah, there's always one card. That's it. There's just one card.
And he still has TL4.
One of the reasons you built that is obviously for you to play, but then you've had some of your trainees and your students come out there and play and relax, right?
Yeah, some of the wrestlers I have play disc golf, but you know, these high school kids, they work their butts off, so they're really good workers. They've helped me clear a lot of the brush and cut stuff down. We got a couple more coming tomorrow, build tee boxes, all that stuff. So yeah, they've been an integral part of me building the course out.
So either you or Brody here, break down. I mean, I got a call from Paul yesterday, but break down how all of this weekend came about for you guys. Like, how did the conversation get started?
Was it you?
Well,
I think so.
Paul wanted us to go to Norway.
He decided this was easier.
Yeah, Norway.
Yeah, I'll break.
Paul's
coming in to break it down.
Oh, we got a black screen. All right. So basically, we all decided that this kind of weekend worked for us. We didn't have anything going on, and our lives were going to get busy once everything opened up. And I think I just sent a message out to you guys and said, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And you guys said, "Well, we got these next 2 weekends free." And Hannah and I and Brody were just like, "Yeah, it works for us." So.
And what was traveling like? Obviously, you know, Hannah, Paul, I know you and Brody, you guys all had to fly and such. What was traveling like today?
Surprisingly, like pretty easy. It didn't seem weird or anything. Everyone just had masks on for us. It was mandatory to wear. Hannah wants to watch the vlog and you'll know. But basically,
I don't got time for that, Hannah.
Yeah. Basically, it was just you had to wear masks and that was it. Everyone was sitting next to each other on our flight. I think his was a little different.
I didn't have that many people. It was probably like a quarter full or something like that. But everything else was pretty much smooth. So.
But then that one crazy thing happened, and that's on the vlog, you guys. So just make sure.
Wow.
YouTube.com/Paul McBeth.
We'll just have to smash that like button.
Yeah.
Smash that like button.
So give everyone, like, what's kind of the game plan other than me and Brody tomorrow? I mean, I know that's the headliner, but like, what's the game plan for you guys?
Yeah, is John going to show up
for the co-main?
Yeah, Johnny.
I can make it. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
I'm there.
Prelims, is Greg Swartz around?
Yeah. I bet you we could make a call and get Schwartz there for some revenge. That would only be appropriate.
Now, Paul, no joke. when you called me yesterday, I was thinking that it would be kind of interesting to go out to the playoff holes at Dretzka Park, where you played holes 1 and 2, and you came up a little short in winning AM Worlds in 2007. Should we go out there and replay those?
I can miss it the same way, I'm sure.
No
Which
match
holes were the
Greg
playoff
Schwartz.
holes? I didn't know. I didn't make it that far. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I had to win the playoff to get into the Final Four, and then I lost in the playoff.
Oh, you had back-to-back playoffs?
Yeah, same day.
Man. Jeez.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. Back in the day, good old 2007 Dretzka Park.
That's about 25, 30 minutes.
It's tiny. I remember how small those courses were. They're small.
It's a small course.
Well, they built out an extra 18, but I think there's only 9. There's an 18 and a 9, correct?
Yeah, during the summer, there's 18 holes that are permanent. Well, yeah, now 27 holes out there. And then in the winter, there's 18 totally different holes that you don't see during the summertime. So,
And they've lengthened
Ben,
Dretzka since 2007. They've added some what they call pro pads, which add probably another couple thousand, like another 2,000 or 3,000 feet, I think. 2,000 probably.
I gotta call out. Hey, Haley King, if you're watching, I'm calling you out because I need a women's card.
She's got school.
She's got school. I have school.
Picking on
She's
middle
not
schooler?
school.
well, we asked her to join game night the other night, and she's like, I've got schoolwork to do. I'm like, all right. It sounds like you just don't want to join us, but that's fine. Is Haley... What's that?
When is game night?
It's typically Thursday night, but this week's all jacked up because of Johnny V's basement, and I went down to Miles' place in Springfield, so this week got all jacked up. Normally, we do game night tonight.
Oh, okay.
So, Ben, what is your favorite course in the area? I know you said you don't play too much around here, but what is would be your favorite?
I mean, the one I was telling these guys that was really, really awesome is Rolling Ridge, but that's kind of a little farther away. So I think Root River, I know they were making some significant improvements on, but I haven't played that probably in, 18 months or so. But that was pretty cool. It's starting to get really cool.
Okay, nice. And are you guys how are you guys structuring your next couple days? Like, what's the plan?
Why is it 6 feet apart?
We got morning round tomorrow, and then I have to go work for a little bit, and they're gonna go play somewhere, and then we got a showdown at 4 p.m. And then who knows what's gonna happen in the weekend.
Okay. You got to get all the action because Sunday is it supposed to rain still?
I think we got PM showers Saturday, Sunday, so we should be able to get some good disc golf in both days.
Yeah.
Brody, what's the most northern course you've played? Will this be it?
Yeah. I think I've played 18 courses, 16 courses.
That's cute. Okay.
Somewhere in that realm. Closing in on triple digits.
Okay.
Ben,
okay.
what's about the
how
average
many
distance
you play, Terry?
of the holes at your course?
What's up?
How long is the course on your property? About.
Well, Brody has a little eye thing out, but I haven't actually measured it.
I feel like most holes are in between 200 and 300 feet, but there's a lot of elevation. So some of them play
Cool.
Some of them play way shorter and some of them play way longer.
And woods, there's probably only 4 holes that are you'd say relatively open.
So you guys will need your max distance drivers out there for sure.
Hey-o.
Oh, Hannah.
Got him!
Hannah, I have discs that are older than you. I think I've played somewhere around 300.
Ooh, I got 750 by the time I was 30 years old.
Wow.
Dang.
I didn't know you were a course collector like that. I didn't know that.
I have the whole list somewhere on my computer downstairs. I can go find it.
Wow.
At one point, I played 124 of the 128 in Wisconsin.
Okay. Which
Probably way more than that, right?
Yeah, there's close to 300 or over 300 in Wisconsin.
In Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, you sit down and play any course in Wisconsin?
No, I gave up.
Okay.
When I first started, me and my buddy first went on our first disc golf trip. There was 61 courses in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So that was back. Let me hold on. I put in the 50th course in 2001-ish.
Yeah.
So were you talking 2002, 2001, 2003, somewhere in that neighborhood?
I think it was 2003.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've.
2003.
So what's the course you haven't played that you know you need to get to in Wisconsin?
I don't think there are any unless it's a new one that I don't know about. I mean, my favorite.
Like,
Of course, that one I saw.
Oh, yeah, there's a new one real close here that I didn't know about that Brody said was good.
I didn't say it was good. I said it had a high rating.
Yeah, high ratings.
I wonder which one.
Let me look it up real quick. Hold on.
Rolling Ridge is nice. Zobel, Justin Trails.
Wilderness.
Wilderness is the next one.
That was still open because I heard they closed that down.
Which is now reopening thanks to Mountain Man. Yep. Is it Wilderness?
I might have a terrible person. What is it called?
Pronunciation?
What?
Opinion?
Carlin Weld.
Is that Carlin Weld Park? Carolyn Weld Park?
Carlin Weld. Yeah, I originally designed, I think, the front 9 of that, and then I think they expanded it after the words, and I haven't even been out there since they installed it.
Oh, I just looked at some of the photos. It looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some good elevation out there.
Yeah.
What you really need to do is go play.
What's the best one? Give me your top 3 in Wisconsin.
Well, I have to say Sandy Point, which is where we're going next weekend.
Yeah, I've been there. That's awesome. I forgot about that.
That's just an amazing facility and awesome place. I mean, Zobel, which you and I played in 2012, is pretty awesome. Everybody's talking about Wilderness, which is over kind of by Madison, and that's probably the best course in this. It's at a campground. The same guy who designed Zobel designed Wilderness. That's Pat Blake, who's out of Madison. And Wilderness is considered one of the best courses in the state by what everyone else has said, although I have not played it, but I'm going to trust it. I guess it's, it's somewhere over kind of near Madison, I think.
Yeah, it's just in one of the Madison suburbs.
How close are you in Madison?
Silver Fox. Ben, if you haven't played Silver Fox, you should get down there.
Fox. That was fun. Yeah, that was nice.
Have you played Silver
a really good one.
Fox?
Hey, did you guys ever play that course called The Ditch? That was a private course north of Madison.
Yeah, that was over at not Grant.
Maybe. That was really cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
What course should me and Paul play tomorrow?
I mean, how far do you want to travel?
20, 30
minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how? Oh,
what Wales? Is that worth it or no?
Do you want redemption?
Not really.
I would say. I mean, I don't know where the pins were set up because I think they were literally just put back in the ground like yesterday. But I think Dretska or Brown Deer are your 2 best courses that are that close.
Brown Deer's fun, but it's kind of far.
Yeah, okay. Brown Deer would probably be closer to 40 minutes. Dretska would be 25 minutes probably.
Okay. Seriously.
We're going to Brown Deer.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to tell everybody where you're going.
I'm trying to find the Wilderness on DG Course View. I can't find it, bro. I don't know about this UDIS stuff. I haven't played seriously.
It's an app. You're on Safari.
I found it, bro. Right there.
In Montello. It's in Montello.
That's kind of far away, guys. It's way out.
That's a little bit.
That's probably almost an hour drive.
Yeah. But Wilderness is probably one of the best courses. And then Gray Fox and Silver Fox. I mean, if you guys want 2 courses that are pretty good, that are literally 3 minutes apart from each other, that's also going to be an hour drive for you guys from where you're at.
Yeah, that would be like if you're not doing anything, that would be a good Saturday thing for you guys to do.
All right, sick.
So, okay.
All right, see you guys tomorrow. We'll text you the address.
Yeah, my people will get in touch with your people, and we'll hash it out tomorrow.
All right, sounds like
a plan.
Hopefully, you're on the card as well, Hannah, potentially.
Yeah. And if Greg shows up, he shows up.
And if Greg shows up, he shows up.
The
McBeth Slayer. All right, boys. Well, we appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Brody, I'll admit this. Here's what I'm going to tell you here on the podcast. I have no doubt or qualms about the idea of you beating me. Like, you're a solid player.
Yeah, come on.
Like,
Speak at him. Let's go, Terry.
I'll just tell you, like, you clearly care,
Not on
and
this
you've
court.
been practicing, and you've been playing. I would not be mad or upset or offended. Now, I think you 5 months ago, I think I had you hands down.
Whoa!
But you,
Whoa! 5 months ago, yeah. 5 months ago, I didn't even know what a disc was.
well, I'm just saying.
I think.
A more better bet would be like at Waco.
Okay.
I
That'd
think.
be a better bet.
I think that this course,
Because at Waco,
the distance
I still
that it
didn't know
is.
really what some of my discs did.
Okay. I mean,
I think with this distance course, Terry's got a good chance.
Okay. All right. Well, so what's going to be the wager? Are we going to have a wager? Yeah.
Podcast rights.
I get the podcast rights, Hannah says.
That's right.
Playing for pinkies?
Me and Ben take over your podcast. All right.
All right. We'll
Oh, there it is.
The ratings can only go up.
Yeah.
Guys, Brody and Ben will be starting Thursday nights at 7 p.m.
Hey, wait a minute, Paul. Do I have an inside track to a special bag release of yours at 9 or 10 a.m. tomorrow, or are you gonna hook me up?
Do you want to drop some bag info or something?
No, I'm saying, how do I get my hands on one so I can flip a few?
Yeah, right.
Well, that's what you get if you beat Brody.
There we go.
Dick move.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate it. And then aside from all this, Ben, after the fact, it's been way overdue that we have you on the show sometime as well. So maybe some other week when you're all ready, we'd love to have you.
You got it.
All right, guys.
Sounds great,
See you.
guys.
Right, see ya.
See you tomorrow. Dark horse.
Get freaky.
Keep slinging them
That's
discs.
awesome.
I'll get all those. I'll get all those lines in there, one way or another. All right.
Oh wait. Oh wait. Nope. Never mind. I thought Paul was joining because he's in the. I think he was just turning off the system because the last shot I have is just Paul looking into the camera. So
trying to intimidate. Yeah. Well, it should be fun. I found my bag today. That honestly was a problem a few days ago.
Good.
I found my bag today. I thought I might need this soon, and so I'm going to be ready to go. It's going to be fun to beat Brody with discs that are maybe older than him. I mean, if we really want to look back in the archives, we'll
like I said,
we'll see how that works out.
if Ben is right, and this is a heavily wooded course, and it's 200 to 300 feet, I think you have a better chance. I think the odds are on you over Brody. You lengthen out that course. You go to like a Dretzka or a Brown Deer. I think Brody's got maybe a little bit better chance because there's some pretty big crushers out there, and we know Brody can throw 450, in the open field where you're maxing out at 310. So,
Wow.
I'm just kidding.
Are we talking about my weight here? What?
I wasn't even going to make that joke. No. But I think you do have a really good chance. Now, me, on the other hand, Askren's going to crush me physically and on that course.
Yeah,
because
I hate to say it,
because
but
he
that's
knows the course. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I can hold my own on the course, but not physically. He'll beat me up. He's short, but he's mean.
Well, we will see. I'm excited to. This will be my first time as well, checking out the course over at Ben's, obviously, and excited to see how this is all going to shake out and what's going on. So, should be fun. I don't know if we can set up any odds or any official betting. There's some people making their predictions on the board. Dan Harbeck saying, "Where is the game?" It's going to be at Ben's place. Is the answer to that? And some people want it in the bag. I literally have the same discs I've had forever. The only thing that's made any difference in my bag in the last year or so, is for the two events I played. I grabbed a couple of my old Comets and put those in my bag because I took those out for a couple of years. But now I have Comets and Ontario Rocks, which fly very similar. That's going to be That's going to be about it. So we'll see how things shake out at the course. 86 softies. No, I was never an 86 softie guy. And no, I can hold my own with Hannah. We'll see. We'll see how things go.
It's going to be fun. We'll have to talk. We'll talk off camera about what we plan.
Seth says that. Seth, just let somebody do a screenshot for Seth. He does say, no chance, dude. Brody will slay Terry. Okay. Seth.
Terry's a 970 rated golfer right now, so.
Am I?
Right? I think the PDGA, didn't you say something like that? Like that's your rating?
Well, I've got like a couple tournaments. I mean, I'm not saying I'm undisputed champion this year, but
officially this isn't an Am Master event, so I'm still going to be undefeated in Am Masters.
Brody, I think, does have a higher rating than me, as he should.
Oh, does he?
Well, either way. Yeah, either way. It should be fun. We'll be ready to go, and we'll see how things shake out. Sounds like a good time tomorrow for sure.
It will be, most certainly.
There will be some. There will be plenty of. We might set a record. We might have more cameras than actual people out there at this rate, I'm guessing. But some positive notes coming in. My money is on Terry. Terry by 4. Terry by 3. Wow. I don't see Brody in the board talking any trash. Okay. Well. Seth? All right. So, Johnny, that's...
I think we could mostly wrap up the show. I don't think we need an after show at this point. It can only go downhill.
We don't really have too much more to actually add. I know it's been, like we said, a really goofy week with shifting the show, with not having the game night tonight. There's not a lot, obviously, otherwise in the Disc Golf news right now. We talked about the PDGA. We talked about the Disc Golf Pro Tour. The Disc Golf Pro Tour virtual putting is going to continue, and it's going to actually wrap up this weekend. I also mentioned the Nick and Matt show, so good to see those guys getting their podcast kicked off tonight. And outside of that, I don't really have too much more myself. So,
yeah, no, we'll do some Patreon giveaways next week. We'll do 2 of them once I have a better setup. Then I'm not sitting here at my kitchen table.
All right. Well, yeah. Then we'll double up next week and make things happen. It'll be interesting to see who we have to have on Tuesday night next week, one way or another.
It might be you and Ben. I don't know.
Or it might be the Ben and Brody show by next week.
Maybe we can get a quick doubles round in. Those some random dumps.
All right. Well, we want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, including our very impromptu guests. Certainly wasn't expecting to have them all join us, but glad we could get a little pregame chatter going on before this weekend unfolds. It should be a lot of fun. We got to thank Blaine for joining us from GK Pro. As we said, very excited to see what those guys are doing and will continue to do. Looking forward to seeing them back out on the road when all things get back to normal as best as we can here for the remainder of the 2020 season. And of course, we got to thank Hannah, Brody, Ben, along with Paul McBeth. Looking forward to chit-chatting with them tomorrow and over the next couple days to see how this disc golf endeavor is going to unfold, the challenges that are going to unfold over the next few days. So for Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, that's been SmashBoxxTV Podcast 298, socially distanced on every official level. Looking forward to seeing you guys next week. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smashbox.
Below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxxTV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.